I didn't believe the rumors. No one ever does. That building had been standing in the middle of the city for decades. Gray, cracked, forgotten. People walked past it every day and never looked up. But the locals knew. No one lived there longer than 6 days. On the 7th day, they vanished. No police reports. No bodies. No missing person posters. Just empty rooms, as if the previous tenant had never existed at all. Of course, I moved in anyway. Day 1. The rent was suspiciously cheap, the kind that makes you think there's a catch. The landlord didn't ask questions. He didn't ask for references or a credit check. He didn't even ask how long I planned to stay. He just handed me the keys, a strange knowing smile on his face, and said, "Most people don't stay long." The apartment itself was clean, but it felt wrong. The air was heavy, stagnant, as if the silence had a physical weight. I noticed it immediately. No traffic sounds, no distant sirens, no noise from neighbors. The city's constant hum was just gone. I walked over to the windows and slid one open. The noise of the street rushed in, a familiar comfort. But the moment I slid the glass shut, everything went dead silent again. I told myself it was just old, thick insulation. A perk of the building, maybe. That night, I slept fine. And that was my first mistake. Day 2. That's when I first saw the numbers. They were everywhere once you started looking. Faint scratches on the walls, almost invisible in the dim light. Tallies, 7 lines, drawn over and over again. They were scratched into the back of doors, onto the bathroom tiles, even inside the dark corners of the closets. It looked like someone had tried to paint over them, to erase them, but the faint marks remained, a ghostly reminder. I laughed it off. Probably just bored tenants or kids playing a game. That night, I heard footsteps. Slow, heavy footsteps from the floor above me. But there was no floor above mine. I was on the top floor. Day 3. The elevator stopped working. Not broken in the usual sense. The lights were on. The buttons lit up when I pressed them. It just refused to stop at my floor. It would go up, it would go down, but it would glide right past my landing without a sound. I had no choice but to take the stairs. As I passed the 6th floor, I heard whispering. It wasn't distinct voices, more like breathing words. A soft, sibilant sound that made the hairs on my arms stand up. When I finally reached my apartment, I found the door slightly ajar. I know I locked it. I always lock it. My heart pounded as I pushed it open, but inside, nothing was missing. Nothing was out of place, except for the mirror in the bedroom. It was gone, and on the wall where it had hung, scratched into the plaster, was a single word. Wait. Day 4. I tried to leave. I'd had enough. I packed a single bag, my hands shaking, and called a cab. The moment I stepped out of the building's main entrance, my phone lost its signal. The street looked different, longer. The corner that was usually 100 feet away seemed to stretch into an endless, hazy distance. I started walking, determined to get away. 10 minutes later, my lungs burning, I turned around. The building was right behind me, as if I hadn't moved at all. I tried walking in the other direction. Same result. No matter which way I went, I ended up right back where I started. That night, I dreamed of the apartment hallway. Doors lined both sides, stretching into infinity. All of them were open. All of them were empty. And at the very end of the hall, a figure stood facing the wall, counting. Day 5. I stopped trying to sleep. That's when the knocking started. It wasn't coming from my door. It was coming from inside the walls. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. A pause, then 3 more. This pattern repeated 7 times. Then, at exactly 3:07 a.m., every clock in the apartment, my watch, my phone, the microwave, they all just stopped. The whispers returned, louder this time, swirling around me from all directions. "Tomorrow," they hissed. tomorrow. I tried to scream, to make any sound at all, but nothing came out. My throat was tight, my voice gone. Day 6, I finally met a neighbor. I opened my door to find a woman standing in the hallway, staring at my apartment number. Her eyes were sunken and dark, but her smile was far too wide, stretching unnaturally across her pale face. She looked at me and asked, her voice a dry rasp, "What day is it?" When I told her it was the 6th, her smile vanished. Her face fell into an expression of pure terror. She grabbed my arm, her grip shockingly strong, her fingers digging into my skin. "Don't answer it tomorrow," she pleaded. "Don't open the door. Don't listen when it says your name." I tried to pull away, asking her what it was. She just shook her head, her eyes wide with a fear I couldn't comprehend. "It already knows you," she whispered. Then she turned and walked into her apartment. I never heard her door close. Day 7. I woke up to absolute silence. No knocking, no whispers. A wave of relief washed over me. Maybe it was over. Maybe I had made it. Then I saw the door. My apartment door was wide open. The hallway beyond was dark, far longer and darker than it should have been. And at the far end stood the thing from my dreams. Tall, slender, faceless. Its long fingers were pressed against the wall, scratching, counting. I could see 6 fresh lines carved into the paint. It turned its head slowly, a smooth, unnatural motion. And then it spoke my name, perfectly, in my own voice. I ran. But the hallway stretched before me, the walls seeming to warp and bend. Doors slammed shut one by one as I passed them. The thing followed, never rushing, just walking at a steady, patient pace. I finally reached my own apartment and threw myself inside, slamming the door and fumbling with the lock. I leaned against it, panting, my heart about to explode. Then the knocking began. Not from the hallway, from inside the room with me. 7 slow knocks. Silence. Then a voice right behind my ear whispered, "Your turn." The police found the apartment empty. There were no signs of a struggle. Just fresh scratches on the bedroom wall. 7 tally marks. And underneath them, a new name had been carved into the plaster. Mine. The building is still there, waiting. So if you ever find an apartment with rent that seems too good to be true, you might want to check how long the last tenant stayed. Because in that place, no one ever makes it past day 7. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.